Welcome back to Unlimited Recaps. Today we'll be diving into a horror-found footage film from 2023 titled Late Night with the Devil. The film opens with a narrator talking about the turbulent and violent 1970s in America. Demonic cults were becoming more prevalent, and the political and social climate was unstable. In 1971, a late-night chat program named Night Owl with host Jack Delroy debuted amid all of this upheaval. The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson and Night Owl were rivals for the title of most watched program. Jack's show became well-liked and more well-known over time. He made a nervous country forget its problems. He inked a 5-year contract with the owner of UBC Channel in 1972. Stage actress Madeline, Jack's wife, was his greatest ally. The whole nation admired them and thought they were the happiest couple. Rumors were circulating at the time that Jack was a member of an exclusive California group known as The Grove, which was situated in the woods and was intended only for powerful and affluent men. Prominent politicians, business people, entertainers, and industrialists were within the circle, and there were claims that their rituals could make or ruin careers. Even though Jack had gained enormous popularity after 4 seasons of Night Owl, his ratings were still inferior to those of The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Madeline, who never smoked, received a lung cancer diagnosis which completely rocked Jack's world. When there was not enough time for her to make a special appearance on Jack's show, which ended up being the highest-rated Night Owl episode, although it was still not as good as Carson's. After Madeline died 2 weeks later, Jack fell into a deep despair, and his show's ratings started to drop. He disappeared one day, only to reappear a month later and carry on with the show. However, its former popularity was never achieved. Jack organized a special Halloween program with an occult theme in 1977 in an attempt to desperately boost the show's ratings. The narrator then announces that the film is comprised of previously unpublished behind-the-scenes material and the freshly unearthed master tape of what broadcast that night. Jack made his appearance on Halloween night at a nationally shocking live TV show by making jokes and playfully scaring his co-host, Gus. He introduced Christelle, a self-described psychic, as his first guest. A man named Barry in the audience recognized the name but changed it to Peterman, revealing it to be his wife's maiden name. Christelle then claimed to hear the name Peterson. Everyone laughed at Christou's poor reading when Barry revealed that his wife was alive and had fled with someone else 5 years prior, despite Christelle's claim that her spirit was present. Then Christelle said he went up to a mother and daughter in the front seat after hearing the name Edward. The mother corrected him, stating that Edmund, not Edward, was her son's name. Edmund committed suicide 5 years prior, as Christelle accurately surmised, and the mother corroborated. The mother and daughter were tearful when he reassured them that Edmund was at rest, and Christelle was praised by the audience. A few moments later, Christelle took a sharp turn in attitude. He stated that something intense was happening and inquired as to if anyone in the studio knew the name Minnie. He said that Minnie was searching for an unmarried male wearing a ring, but nobody did. The lights flickered for a moment before normalcy returned, and Christelle declared that Minnie had left the room. The Christelle became sick during the intermission and his nose started to bleed. Leo, the producer of the show, came up to Jack and disclosed that Barry was a comedic actor who got paid for his work. Jack welcomed Carmichael, a former magician who is now a skeptic, as the second guest as the show started up again. Carmichael investigated and refuted allegations of paranormal activity since he did not believe in them. He promised to pay the $100,000 he wrote off to anyone who could produce proof of their paranormal claims. Next, Jack wanted to know Carmichael's opinion of Christo's previous reading. Declaring that Christo is a phony, Carmichael notes that he had to try several times before making the right guess. Carmichael responds that even a broken clock is right twice a day, to which Jack remarks that at least Christo was correct on Edmund's spirit. When Christo hears this, he becomes upset and tries to leave by throwing water in Carmichael's face, but Jack stops him. All of a sudden, Jack says that Christo's previous reading was true and made for him. He discloses that his late wife Madeline went by Minnie in private. Nobody else was aware of this. Jack then confirms that he is the single man with the ring that Christo mentioned by displaying it on his finger. Even after learning this, Carmichael is still dubious and challenges Christo to call upon Minnie's spirit once more, promising him a $500,000 reward if he is successful. As Christo receives emergency medical assistance, the program then goes to a commercial break. Carmichael accuses Jack during the commercial of giving Christo his wife's moniker in an effort to increase the show's popularity. Carmichael asserts that he is aware of Jack's covert organization, The Grove, and he makes threats to look into it more. Jack disputes this. Jack tells the crowd that Christo is getting medical attention backstage after the intermission. He then issues a challenge to Carmichael, saying that he should keep his reward check ready since the next guest might refute his doubts. Dr. June Ross Mitchell's book Conversations with the Devil is introduced by Jack, who also says that Dr. June and her young subject will be the next guests. He first plays a video made by June's Pease Research Center, though. The video begins with Sandra Diabo leading a demonic cult that worships the demon Abraxas. It preaches that sacrifice is the only way to fulfill goals. There is no such thing as good or evil. The FBI looks into the cult for alleged child sacrifices, as well as kidnapping and illegal gun ownership. Following a 3-day siege in 1974, Diabo gives the order for his adherents to burn their church and themselves. But a 10-year-old girl named Lily is saved. It's unclear if Diabo had a plan for her survival or if serendipity had it. Dr. June, a parapsychologist, tries to talk to Lily's internal demon in 1976, but the demon rejects him and Lily loses control. Returning to the present, Jack presents June along with a now adolescent Lily who acts strangely and looks straight into the camera. In addition to expressing her sympathy for Jack's wife's passing, she ominously predicts that he will soon become well known. June alerts Jack during a break of Lily's unpredictable behavior and her obsession with him, but Jack persists because he is hungry for attention. Later, while traveling to the hospital, Leo tells Jack that Christo passed away. Though astonished, Jack begs Leo to keep it a secret from others. When the show soon returns, Jack questions June about the identity of the demon she said was inside Lily. Is it really Abraxas? June explains that Abraxas is merely served by a small deity. The table holds artifacts recovered from the Abraxas church, among them the sacrificial dagger. Abruptly, Carmichael starts making fun of the dagger while feigning an attack. June becomes enraged by this, so Jack asks Lily what the name of the creature inside her is. She claims that because he kind of wriggles his way into her thoughts and then out again, she nicknames him Mr. Wriggles. Suddenly, a loud instrument starts to play, upsetting everyone. When Gus tries to switch off the instrument, he gets an electric shock instead, and the music gets so loud that the glass shatter. At some point, Carmichael disconnects the speaker cable and says their PA system interference is to blame. Lily, on the other hand, is adamant that Mr. Wriggles was the culprit. Next, Jack queries if it would be appropriate to invite Mr. Wriggles to the show and whether he is there. Jack is insistent about this concept, despite June's obvious opposition due to its potential for risk. Even the crowd begins to urge, even if calling him forth necessitates a very regulated setting. With no other option, June reluctantly consents, but she makes it clear that she will only lead the session if both the audience and Jack's crew actively participate. June tells Jack that she is angry with him for placing her in such a difficult situation during another break. Carmichael is still making fun of her views, so Jack tells her that she has the chance to disprove him and others like him. A little while later, Gus begs Jack to stop before something awful occurs, but Jack doesn't want to listen, telling Gus that he's acting to keep their show alive. Lily is firmly strapped to a chair when the conjuring session commences following the intermission. June tells everyone that although the monster inside Lily can appear in many forms, Lily is the only one who can allow it to enter the world. She exhorts the audience to maintain composure regardless of what they hear or witness. June tells Lily to let herself go to sleep and starts calling the demon. June tries to speak with Mr. Wriggles soon after the demon takes control of Lily's body, turning her speech evil and turning her face and complexion demonic. The demon gives Jack a quick glance before saying, "It's nice to see him again." The devil says they go way back and met among the big trees, but Jack denies ever seeing it. June then makes an attempt to bring Lily back, but the demon mocks her by reminding her of the horrific death of Jack's wife. Then, it becomes clear how June and Jack are sharing a bed. June hits Lily out of frustration, but it just gets worse. June flashes her locket and recite mantras as the demon grows more hostile. Sadly, June and the demon begin chanting the mantra while giggling. Subsequently, Lily asks Jack in Madeline's voice how he allowed this to occur. The energy suddenly loses control, causing Lily to start floating off the ground. June is able to cut the link and restore order before any significant harm is done. Carmichael tries to show out some of the methods he thinks June used, but Jack interrupts him and asks for a break, leaving Jack stunned. Jack walks up to June during the intermission and says, "This episode was amazing." Jack is subsequently approached by Leo, who informs him that the program has surpassed the moon landing in terms of TV viewership. The show is now receiving higher ratings than Johnny Carson's. Though ecstatic to hear the news, Jack is also worried because he thought he heard his wife's voice earlier. Leo, in the meantime, can't stop complimenting them and pleading with him to come back to the show. When the show resumes, Carmichael accuses June of hypnotizing Lily, claiming her behavior isn't demonic possession. He enlists Gus in a prank to prove his theory. Using a pocket watch, Carmichael hypnotizes Gus and instructs everyone to focus on the time. After a brief pause, Carmichael asks Gus to reveal his fear of worms. Gus, initially dismissive, suddenly squirms in discomfort. Carmichael mentions Gus's neck bleeding and Gus, horrified, discovers what seem to be worms crawling out of his skin. Panicking, he screams about worms inside him, and even more grotesquely, one emerges from his eye. The audience watches in terror, confused about what's real. Carmichael finally snaps Gus out of the trance, returning everything to normal. Gus, now calm, remembers nothing, though everyone else is visibly shaken. When Jack questions Carmichael about the trick later, the latter replies that he hypnotized everyone using the same method as June. He claims that watching the recorded tape after it has been wound back is the only way to find out what actually transpired. When they play back the tape, they find that nothing had happened as they had initially believed. Jack then queries the audience as to whether anyone missed the worms. Some raise their hands, indicating that they were not hypnotized due to their lack of focus. Now that Carmichael has demonstrated his point, Lily wants Jack to play back the footage of their session in order to see if June used the same tactic. They are astonished to see that the events did not occur as a result of hypnosis. When they rewind and watch the tape, they seem to be unchanged in the recorded playback. Jack notices a glitch in the tape and asks for the frames to be slowed down. To his horror, he sees his deceased wife standing behind him on stage. Carmichael, skeptical, accuses Jack of staging the event. As the lights flicker, Lily begins to tremble, feeling electricity surge through her. A lightning bolt strikes the ceiling, hitting Lily, and a strange glow emanates from her split head. The demon within twists Gus's head, killing him, then slashes June's throat. Carmichael, witnessing the chaos, finally accepts his fate and begins to pray, but the demon makes his check vanish before burning him alive. As the audience panics and flees, Leo drags Jack off stage. However, Jack finds himself trapped in a nightmarish realm, reliving his past. A reporter questions the sacrifices behind his success, prompting Jack to remember signing a 5-year contract. The channel owner ominously states that his greatest sacrifice is yet to come. At that moment, 2 members of the Grove, a satanic cult, lead Jack to meet Diabo and other followers, revealing that he had previously participated in a ritual honoring Abraxas. After that, Diabo offers Jack a drink. When he takes it, Jack looks over and sees Madeline lying on the bed in front of him, sick. Then it is revealed that our hero made a bargain with the devil in exchange for his program suddenly becoming famous, sacrificing his dear wife in the process. This was the reason that, despite not smoking, Madeline obtained a lung cancer diagnosis. Jack expresses regret to his spouse, saying he was sacrificing her without realizing it at the time. But instead of being resentful, she just begs him to spare her from her excruciating suffering. Eventually, Jack uses a blade from the cult Lily fled from to stab her. At that moment, he kills Lily and returns to the studio, where he stands over the remains of the departed visitors. He finds it difficult to determine if this is all in his head or not. The movie finishes here as he hears police sirens progressively approaching the studio in the distance. If so, please remember to subscribe, like, and share it in order to see more fantastic movie recaps. I appreciate you watching.